I believe books are not just for entertainment. They can be a great source of strength. They can be your life builders, which is why you have to be careful while choosing books. Because these books are shaping your mind, and your mind shapes your destiny. In this video, I am presenting 4 books which are non fiction, but they have the potential to change your life. Starting from Grit. This book is written by Angela Duckworth, and she is a student of Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman is the biggest name in psychology. He is known to be called father of positive psychology. We all know that everyone wants to achieve something big in life, but we see very few people achieve that. And then we see the interviews of these people, top 1% people, and we try to dissect what made them successful. What were the qualities? They endorse some particular brand and people buy that. The reason is they think that if we can imitate them, if we can talk like them, walk like them, we can become like them. Because people like to become like them. People want to become like them. But very few know what takes to be top 1%. And very few people have guts to wait for the time till the moment they can become top 1%. And that is what this book teaches us, the grit. That how people can become top 1%. How you can become top 1%. The quality she said, which is grit. And grit is something mixture of enthusiasm and perseverance. If you see, we all are enthusiastic in the beginning. Duckworth said that if you want to really ask me how gritty you are, ask me after working on your goal after 2 years. In the beginning, everybody has enthusiasm. But what people lack is endurance. And grit is all about endurance. This grit gets discovered not when things are going right, but when things are not going right. When you receive failure, setbacks, when you are not feeling to work but still you are working, that very time, grit shows up. Because everyone works when things are always right. Or Duckworth says if someone is working on his goal when things are not right, when he received failures, setbacks, and in spite of that he is working, we can say that he is gritty. She also talks us about developing grit in our lives. And we can develop it by 4 things. 1, interest. 2, practice. 3, purpose. And 4, hope. If you see all the champions, if you ask any singer or a cricketer or painter for that matter, any entrepreneur, you will see that they are having genuine interest in their fields, right? Nobody forced them to work on their goals. Nobody forced them to choose their profession. They have a genuine interest in their field and they backed that interest with practice. You might say that I'm not able to find my interest. You cannot find it, you discovered it. And you discovered it by trying. This is where practice comes in. If you feel that your interest is communication, then you will not know it until you practice it. So communication is your interest, you have to practice it. Someday you have to be on the stage. And then you will see that, are you really good in communication? And you will see that you have certain spark, right? But that spark need to be developed. So that you develop with practice. It could happen if you are practicing it and discovering that you are not interested in communication, but you are more interested in analysis. Storytelling. You are more interested in presentation. These are parts of communication. We have many communication channels now, so you could be interested in radio, television. But unless you are putting your interest in practice, you will not discover whether that interest is really for you. It means trying. It means support of your parents, support of your teachers. Then getting a mentorship and then pursuing your craft. But after practice, you need purpose. And this purpose is something which you can find by understanding what service you can provide to society with your interest and practice. And these are the ways of building grit. Otherwise, if you are not interested in your craft, your work, if you don't practice it, you will not develop grit. So once you find out your purpose, the service you can offer to society, then you can have hope. Because hope is the last pillar of building grit. And once you develop these 4 qualities, interest, practice, purpose, hope, then you will build grit in your life, which is the cause of becoming top 1% in your field. The second book from the list is The Practicing Mind. Many of the times people think that if we get out of the college and we take a job, we don't have to learn that much, right? Our learning stops. We don't have to practice anything. That's not true. Your journey starts when you get out of the college. Your journey starts when you take your first job. For doing things better, you need to learn skills. And for learning, you have to learn how to learn. And if you don't know how to learn, you will not learn. And if you will not learn, you will stay where you are. And this is where this book comes in, The Practicing Mind. When people are at a learning stage, They cannot focus on accolades or the outcome which they will have after learning. Learning happens in stages. Okay, until some particular thing which you are learning that gets into unconscious, it becomes automatic, you can stop learning, right? So you can only work. You have to be present. Otherwise, if you are learning a language and first day, yeah, second day, third day, and you are checking, yeah, I'm not able to speak fluently, I'm not able to understand the nuances of grammar, I'm still making mistakes. If you are checking this on the third day, if your eye is on the accolades and the fame you will get with that particular skill, then you can't learn. What this author talks about is to be in the present, get absorbed in your process. Then the product will take care of itself. But if you are thinking about the product and not focusing on the process, you cannot reach to the product. Because the way to reaching towards product is by the process. Until that you have to develop patience, because if you have to build discipline, if you have to keep working on your things, you have to build patience. And this patience comes from the understanding that your journey is infinite. Whatever skill you are learning, in whatever subject you are pursuing knowledge, you have to understand that your journey is infinite. There is no point in life you can say that I am arrived. You are keep on learning, keep on growing. The journey is infinite. The mountains are infinite to climb. And when you really got this understanding, you will see that there is no point in being anxious and being hurried, because your journey is infinite. You are doing it for the rest of your life, because the craft is unlimited and nobody knows how great you can become. And this is what written in this book. When you got this understanding of your infinite journey, you cannot rush, you cannot be anxious. All you can have is discipline. You can have it by patience. Patience comes from the understanding that journey is infinite. This is a simple framework offered by Thomas Sterner, and the philosophy of this book is backed up by Japanese philosophy, and where they follow process-oriented approach followed by the practice of mindfulness. And third book is The Compound Effect. And this is pretty much similar to grit, but compound effect is the outcome of grit. The author Darren Hardy talks us about the huge impact of our small choices. If you are wasting 1 hour a day, you are wasting 360 hours a year. And if you are wasting for 5 years 1 hour a day, how much days you will count? The same goes with positive things. If you are reading for 1 hour a day, in 5 years, just imagine what knowledge and what understanding you will have by reading just 1 hour a day. And that very habit of reading can change your entire life, because you start to think because of reading. Any nonsensical choice when you make in your life and then you regret later, those choices gets erased when you are learning, because you learn to think because of reading. That is why reading is powerful. Take any good habit, that habit has the potential to change your entire life. Exercise, reading. If you are doing exercise, that habit can change the entire life, because you are feeling good about yourself. You are starting your day with happiness. You are getting energy to work on your dreams. You are building your physique, you are building your confidence. You are building your personality. People recognize you are a disciplined person. N number of benefits are there because of exercise. One habit can impact your entire life. That is what has been said in this book, The Compound Effect. And when you read this book, you become conscious. You become conscious of the bad choices you make. When you have a habit of making bad choices, let's say complaining. If you are complaining for once, it doesn't seem to be a big deal, right? But it becomes a habit. Then it will become a worse thing. And this habit of complaining will shift your mind into the negative zone, and you will constantly seek for the things to complain about. That's a really bad habit in the long run. Because whatever you are doing, that gets magnified after a particular time, after a time. Which is why we have to stop our bad habits and break them and build good habits. Whenever you are thinking about complaining, ask yourself, what are the things you are grateful for? That could be anything: your health, the people you are surrounded with, the cell phone you have, the tea you are drinking, the place you stay, the roof on your head, whatever it is, this life, this world. Try to seek for grateful things, and after 300 positive reinforcements, you will change that habit, and the habit of gratitude will become your unconscious habit. That is what has been communicated in the book. Whatever you are doing for 300 times, that becomes automatic, and that becomes reflexive. Unconsciously you do that without having a conscious thought. That is what the compound effect says. And whenever you are doing one particular thing without a conscious thought, you can move to a second thing, then third, then fourth, and you can learn as many things as possible, because once it is getting automatic, you don't have to pay attention. It is getting performed automatically without a conscious thought, without an effort. Which is why you have to understand the compound effect. Whatever you are focusing on will grow stronger, like a mountain. So make sure whatever you are growing, that should support you. That should not harm you. That is where the compound effect comes in. And the fourth book, Mastery by Leonard. This book solves the mystery of learning, right? Are you not surprised or are you not amazed when you see people are doing incredible things? Are you not surprised? Because, for example, Hrithik Roshan, how a person can reach to that height in any skill, in dancing he has reached. How one person can dance like that? Acting, how one person can reach that height of Amitabh Bachchan, where he's acting and his acting is like the skill level is very high. How he can reach to that point? Those are masters. The mystery behind their performance, the mystery behind their achievement is the mystery of learning, nothing else. If you want to be like them, you can become like them, but you have to understand the mystery of learning. How one can become extraordinary by just learning, by practicing their craft. What they have done in these years, they have just practiced their craft. And they become top 1% in their field because of the practice of the craft. That is mastery. Because of learning, they keep on learning. They keep studying their craft. Any person you take, they are constantly studying. An entrepreneur, he is studying. Painter, studying. Writer, content creators, all are studying. They are keep on learning. So what is the mystery of learning? I'll give an example. Let's take one skill, public speaking. We learn in small parts. Public speaking has 4 parts. 1, breathe. 2, pause. 3, pronunciation. And 4th, modulation. When you try to learn breathing, and this is not a normal breathing, people breathe shallowly. They breathe from the chest, one has to breathe from the diaphragm, from the stomach. And when you're learning that, you're practicing that, it's a habit. As I mentioned, the compound effect, we need to practice that for 300 times at least. After learning to breathe, then you can move to the second part, which is pause. Because if you see, public speakers have the impact because of the pause. If they are stop pausing, they are just normal people, they are not public speakers. When you are learning to breathe and breathing properly for 300 times, then you can move to a second stage, which is pause. Then third, which is pronunciation, and fourth is modulation. But if you see, when you learn to breathe, when you learn to pause, and you get on the stage automatically performing these things, you are breathing properly without a conscious thought, and when you are pausing at appropriate places without a conscious thought. How you are doing these things? And where that information is going, and without a thought, how are you doing that? That is a question, right? If you are not thinking about doing, then who is doing that? People call it subconscious, people call it unconscious, people call it higher self. But something is there in the field. When you are learning, that information goes inside, in your consciousness, it becomes automatic to you, and then you can shift to a second place. This is how you learn constantly, and that learned thing become unconscious. You do it without an effort. You keep on learning, and you keep on doing without thinking, and you keep on performing your skill without an effort, which is why you see these people are effortless in their craft. That is the mystery of learning. Whatever you are learning, after some point of time, that particular skill will become automatic, to the point where you don't have to think about it. It will become effortless. The more you learn, the more effortless things you carry inside of you, and the more effortlessly you pursue that particular craft. People wonder at you, they look at you with surprise, with awe, how this is happening. But this is happening because of mastery, this is happening because of learning, and this is the mystery of learning. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel for becoming a leader in your life. Thank you very much.